Are we ready for that?
Yes, please. You can go ahead and open the hearing.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'd like to introduce the members of the panel this afternoon. There's Mr. Brent McIntyre and Mr. Neil Hardin. Ms. Cara Belshaw is our secretary this afternoon, and the city assessor is Ms. Lindsay Wareham. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to the assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions. Then the applicants may have, questions that the applicants may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. And the use of cell phones is not permitted except by approval by the chair. And as directed by Manitoba Health, we're requesting people avoid close contact within 2 meters with anyone showing symptoms of a respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing. If you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, we are requesting that you excuse yourself from the room. Okay, the first matter on today's docket is 125 Lombard Avenue.
Marla, is there another page 2 to that statement?
The page 2 on the chairperson's statement was the direction from Manitoba Health.
Okay. I'll swear or I'll affirm the assessor first before she begins. Please stand. Can you say your name?
Lindsay Wareham.
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Ayrton Newfield.
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Wareham, please proceed.
So we're looking at 125 Lombard Avenue. The file number is 19-5738. The ARV is for 2020 and the business assessment ID is 43601. I'm recommending to maintain the 2020 annual rental value of $126,660. We have 102 stalls on this property with a monthly net unit rent of $103.50 a stall for our total annual rental value as previously stated, $126,660. If you look at the bottom of my page 1, we have a range of comparables. These are all from the exchange within very close proximity to the subject property with its location on Lombard Avenue and Waterfront Drive. If you look on page 3 of my brief, we have the indigo details for this property. It has casual, evening, daily parking. We have a random rate of $190 a stall, $205 a stall, and $220 a stall. On page 4 is the Realty Board of Revision order, and the decision is based on the net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department with a capitalization rate of 4.75%. And on page 6 of my brief is the realty brief that was submitted to the Board of Revision. There's aerial photos of the subject property from the realty brief, as well as the comparables and the net operating income from the realty brief as well. And the remaining pages in the brief, pages 10 through 14, are related to my AIC candidate membership. That's my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Mr. Harden?
No questions.
Okay, then please proceed with your presentation.
I'm just asking for that this be confirmed today.
Oh, okay.
How do I look at you?
All right. The next matter on the docket is 129 McDermott Avenue.
So we're looking at 129 McDermott Avenue, file number 19-5739. This is for the 2020 ARV. The business assessment ID is 43602. I'm recommending to maintain the 2020 annual rental value of $144,060. This property has 116 stalls, and we have the monthly net unit rent is created by the model of $103.50 for the annual rental value of $144,060. Again, on the bottom of my page 1 are the comparables. The subject property is comparable number 5, and they have reported on their 2017 mailer that they are earning a stabilized net operating income per stall per month of $112.91. If you turn to page 3 of my brief, you'll see the indigo details for the subject property, showing they have casual parking as well as random at $190 a stall. On page 4, you'll see the realty decision, and the decision was based on the net operating income presented by the Assessment Taxation Department with a capitalization rate of 4.75%. On page 6 of my brief, you'll see the portions of the realty brief that were submitted. On page 7, you'll see aerial photos of the subject property showing its location on McDermott Avenue between Waterfront Drive and Rory Street. On page 9, you'll see the income workup for the realty as well as the comparables. And again, from pages 10 to 14 of my brief are related to my AIC candidate membership. That's my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Mr. Harden?
No questions.
Okay, please proceed.
Just requesting confirmation of the same. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. 1 minute, please. My pen just died. I'm very sorry. Okay.
Silence means okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next matter I have is 363 William Avenue. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So I'll just ask you to state your name
Marcelo Navarro.
and do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, whole truth, and nothing
Okay, Ms. Wareham, are you ready to proceed?
I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. We're looking at 365 William Avenue, file number 19-5667 for the 2020 annual rental value. The business assessment ID is 54511. I'm recommending to maintain the 2020 total annual rental value of $75,660. This property is located on the north side of William Avenue, across from Dagmar Street, between Ellen Street and Hargrave Street. We have 97 stalls on this property with a monthly net unit rent as produced by the model of $65 a stall. If you look on my page 1, you'll see comparables. Comparable number 1 is the closest in proximity to the subject property, and they are getting $107.58 per stall. If you look at the comparables, comparable number 9 is 211 McDermott. It's a superior parking lot to the subject property in a much superior location. It just is showing the higher end of the range for parking lots. If you look at 307 Elgin, that's on Elgin Avenue near the Red River College, and they're getting $73.74 a stall net, and it's in very close proximity to the subject property as well. Comparable number 2 is on the corner of McDermott Avenue and Hargrave Street, and it's a gravel lot, and they're getting $96.91 a stall. And then if you look through comparables number 6 through 8, these are in inferior locations to the subject property, and 6 and 7 are gravel, or I should say 7 and 8 are gravel lots, and they're getting between $58.33 a stall to $66.49 a stall. So again, we have $65 for a monthly net unit rent for the 97 stalls for this property. If you turn to page 2, you'll see the Indigo details. They have casual parking here. They charge a monthly parking rate of $145 a stall, and if you apply our typical 45% expense ratio to that, it comes around $79.75 a stall. On page 3, you'll see the Board of Revision decision for the realty, and it says it's based on the evidence presented by the applicant. On page 5, you'll see the Board of Revision brief that was submitted for the subject property, and then on page 6, page 7 is aerial photos of the subject property, as I had described. Page 8, again, subject property photos. Page 9, again, is the income valuation for the realty, 97 stalls at a monthly net unit rent of $65 a stall with the comparables. On page 10, you'll see the pertinent details of the applicant's brief that was submitted for the realty as well. And on page 11, as well as page 12. And the remainder of my brief, pages 13 through 17, are related to my AIC candidate membership. I'm happy to answer any questions. That's my presentation.
Yes, if I may speak.
Sure.
These, the rates that you've noted here are based on a modeled rate, correct?
The rates as in the $65 or the rates that are listed in the comparables?
No, the $65.
The $65 is, yes, the model.
Okay. That is my only question.
Sorry, I heard a cough. I didn't hear what you said.
She didn't hear.
Oh, sorry. My question was if this was a modeled rent that was being used.
Oh.
Airbnb.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any further questions?
None.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
Just one question. Is comparable number 5 the subject property?
Yes, it is the subject property. I failed to mention that. My apologies, Mr. McIntyre.
I just wanted that clarified.
I should have said it. That's probably why I didn't mention it. I mentioned all the other ones. So my apologies. It is the subject property.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harden?
Okay, so then you're maintaining your valuation as per the realty hearing?
I'm maintaining my valuation as per the $65 at the $97 a stall.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and I have no questions. Mr. Navarro, please proceed.
This is 365 William Avenue, and this is Towers Realty Group. If you look at page 1, you can see the summary. This is again 365 William. Site area is 29,379 square feet. Zone commercial mixed use. The current ARV is 75,660. We are requesting an ARV of 63,960. Now in the property description, again, this is a 97 stall parking lot on the north side of William Avenue between Ellen Street and Adelaide Street. If we skip to the analysis on page 4, you can see how we derived a rental value. Again, we used 3 years of comparison. So we used 2015, 2016, and 2017. We averaged them out and then we stabilized them. And we came out to a net operating income of $63,319. That comes out roughly to $54.40 stabilized. If you turn over to page 5, you can see the occupancy costs. There's not really any relevant occupancy costs on this because it is a parking lot. So the amount that we are asking for is $63,960 in terms of the annual rental value. And on page 7, 8, and 9, you can see the supplemental information. Again, this was all compiled into that spreadsheet that we used on page 4. And that is my brief.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wareham, any questions?
Just to confirm, Mr. Navarro, so you have stabilized the 2015, 16, and 17 to come up with your value?
Correct.
And the 2017, what was reported on the mailer as the net operating income on your brief on page 4 was 68,974.
2017, 148.28. That is the effective gross that we used.
But the net operating income is 68,974. I'm just making sure I can read it correctly.
$68,974.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McIntyre.
I have no questions.
Mr. Harden?
Okay, just looking at the net operating income, line 23 for those 3 years, it seems to go up and down like a yo-yo. Is there any particular reason for that?
Yes, they actually lost a contract with Red River College. So that is what propped up their gross income in the earlier years, but they lost that for a period. And then it started to stabilize afterwards, but we're not looking at the period after. During this economic period, the income was falling because of this loss of revenue.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I have no questions, so we can move on to the next matter. This one, I do not have a municipal address. It's file 19-5303, lots 9 and 13, block 6, plan 208. Oh, sorry, when I open it up, it says just Gertrude Avenue with no address. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we're looking at Gertrude Avenue, file number 19-5303, business assessment ID 40470. I'm recommending to maintain the 2020 annual rental value of $43,980. We have 94 stalls on this property, and this parking lot is located on the north side of Gertrude Avenue, near Confusion Corner, actually. So if you look on my page 1, we have comparables. This is in our suburban parking model area, and it's receiving a monthly net unit rent of $39 a stall for the 94 stalls. The comparables that you see are not in close proximity to the subject property, but they are located in, with the exceptions of comparables 3 through 6. Those are in our inner downtown parking model and used as sort of a benchmark of the higher side of the parking area. Our suburban parking model has a range of comparables. We have comparables number 1 and 2. Those are located near Portage Avenue and Maryland, and they're getting $84.78 a stall and $81.49 a stall. Again, comparables number 7 through 9 are located near the boundary of the outer downtown parking model, as well as the suburban. And like I said, they are gravel lots. Or comparables number 8 and 9 are gravel lots, and they range from $58.33 upwards of $66.49. On page 2, you'll see the subject property details that's operated by Impark, lot 194. They charge $100 a stall there, and if you apply our 45% expense ratio to that, it's around $55 a stall. They also have casual parking. We have on page 4, these are some other suburban parking lots, just to give an idea of what kind of gross rates are charged by Impark and suburban parking lots. So this one is 1661 Portage Avenue. That's located by the St. James Bridge near Polo Park. And they charge monthly rates that range from $60 to $90 a stall. So if you apply our 45% expense ratio to that $60, that's around $33, and if you apply it to the 90, that's around $49.50. If you look on page 6, this is Aaron Square. It's located near Portage Avenue. Again, they're charging $60 a stall there. There was no realty decision for this property as it was withdrawn by the applicant prior to the hearing. And then on page 9, you'll see the realty brief that was submitted or portions of. We've got aerial photos on page 10. On page 11, there's photos. And then on page 12, you'll see the income workup for the realty as well. Pages 13 through 17 are related to my candidate membership with the AIC. That's my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Navarro, any questions?
Yes, if you turn to page 11 of your brief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there are a set of pictures there, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Now the bottom picture, I'm asking you just to give me a description of what you see there.
It is a view from the parking lot, from the back alley that it has, that is next to the parking lot. So if you look at the previous, this parking lot is bounded by 2 back alleys. So if you look at the previous page on page 10, so that's the view from sort of the northeast corner in that aerial photo. I see a paved parking lot with very few cars in it.
And on this picture just above it, what do you see on the street?
Cars parked on the street.
Okay, those are my questions.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
Just one question on page 11. When were these photos taken?
These are just Google Street View photos, and I don't actually have a date stamp of when they were taken.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Mr. Harden?
Okay, on your page 12, that was your workup for the withdrawn appeal?
Actually, this brief, if you look on page 9, was brought to hearing by Brittany Santucci, but I did put this evidence together, but she was the assessor. We both worked on it, but she was the one who appeared at the hearing.
And on page 12, it's using the 49.50 rate, so you're now arguing for $39.
We had $49.50 on it for the realty, and obviously it was not carried forward to the BA, so we're at $39. for the VA.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that covered my question as well. Mr. Navarro, please proceed.
Okay, this is 0 Gertrude Avenue, roll number 40470. On page 1, you can see an overhead shot of the parking lot. Again, this is 94 stalls between Osborne Street and Scott Street, and it's zoned RMFS, which is residential multifamily. On page 2 and 3, we have the applicable legislation, and on page 4, we have the analysis. How we came up with the rental value on page 4, again, you have 2015, 2016, 2017. We've provided the 2015, 2016, and 2017 month by month revenue and expenses. And so we've put the monthly revenue for 2017 as $17,753.65. And you have the 2016, 2017. We've taken the expenses off and come up with a net operating income of, for 2017, of $16,427.20, a 3-year average of $14,123. We have occupancy costs on page 4, and then on 5, we have the annual rental value calculation. And again, we've used $16,427 as the base rent. And what we're asking for in terms of the ARV is $17,100. And again, I will point out for 2015, 2016, and 2017, at no time during these 3 years did the gross income of this parking lot exceed $22,000. And I believe that has been the case consistently. So we're asking for that to be recognized. There is, again, the modeled rent that is applied by the city. But in this situation, we believe that obviously there is a vacancy issue with this parking lot. So we're asking for the value that we are recommending to be decided on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wareham, do you have questions?
I do have a few questions. Thank you, Madam Chair. So Mr. Navarro, these are the in-park statements that are in your brief on pages 6 and 7?
Correct.
Okay. My next question is, so just to clarify, you are looking at the actual revenue of this particular parking lot versus what's happening in the market?
Correct. I am looking at the actual revenue.
Those are my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. McIntyre.
Just one question on page 6, the second table. What's the 2,000 for under air conditioning?
Oh, that is actually a mistake. That should actually be 0.
So then the 680 wouldn't apply.
Yeah, it wouldn't apply.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harden?
Okay, I have no questions. It's only air conditioned parking lot, I know.
This is the luxury lot.
Yes, I was wondering about air conditioning, but that was mentioned previously on page 4 as well. Okay. So I guess no further questions then. Okay, thank you. Then we will move on to 216 Logan Avenue. Whenever you are ready, Ms. Wareham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we're looking at 216 Logan Avenue, file number 19-5306 for the 2020 ARV. The business assessment ID is 37780. This is an in-park parking lot located on the south side of Logan Avenue. located on the south side of Logan Avenue on the east side of King Street. So it's sort of on the corner of, near the corner of King and Logan, or Main Street and Logan. We have 81 stalls on this property and I'm recommending to maintain the 2020 annual rental value of $53,700. So again, we have 81 stalls. Our monthly net unit rent as provided by the model is $55.25 a stall net. Again, my comparables, I have 13 comparables on page 1. We have some suburban comparables number 12 and 13. We have, this is in the outer downtown parking model. Comparable number 1 is in close proximity to the subject property, but in a superior location, as well as comparable number 2. Similar locations, I would think similar and also inferior to the subject property are comparables numbers 5, 6, and 7. And they have $66.49 a stall, $58.33 a stall, and $62.11. And again, comparables number 6 and 7 are gravel parking lots, unlike the subject property, which is paved. If you turn to page 3 of my brief, you'll see the in-park details for the subject property. They charge $120 a stall monthly. If you apply our typical 45% expense ratio, that's about $66 a stall. They also have casual parking on this lot as well. On page 5, you'll see a number of in-park details for comparable properties that are in very close proximity to the subject. The Ukrainian Cultural Museum is across Main Street from the subject property. They charge $170 a stall there. 55 Duncan is on the corner of Duncan and Waterfront Drive, an inferior location to the subject property, charging $125 a stall. The Shanghai parking lot, which is on the corner of Princess and Alexander, they charge $115 a stall. On page 11, you'll see the realty decision for this particular property. It said the decision is based on the evidence presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department. On page 13, you'll see the brief that was submitted for the realty for this property. Again, on page 14, the realty brief. On page 15, aerial photos from the realty brief showing the subject property outlined in purple in that upper photo. Page 4, subject property photos from the realty brief. Page 7, we have our stall count. This was the income workup for the realty brief. Again, 81 stalls, $55.25 a stall. The comparables that were used for realty. The realty brief that was submitted by the applicant for the realty on page 18. 19, the applicant's brief. Page 20, the applicant has used the owner's reported income of $55,533. On page 21, you'll also see the income approach summary that the applicant used using an NOI of $55,533 with a 6% cap rate. On page 22 through 26 is the AIC information related to my candidate membership. That's my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Navarro. Any questions?
Again, this is modeled, the monthly net unit rent.
Yes.
Okay. There was no inclusion in your package of the actual income and expenses, correct?
I don't typically include the income and expenses in the packages just because sometimes they're submitted by the property owners. Sometimes if the realty is not appealed, I don't typically include them. So what I try to do is just include the pertinent details from the realty brief, yes.
Okay, those are my questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. McIntyre.
And I have no questions.
Mr. Harden. No questions?
No questions, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I kind of fumbled. I was lost reading here.
Oh, sorry. Do you need a minute or you're good? Okay. Okay. Mr. Navarro? Oh. Okay. Mr. Navarro, please proceed when you're ready.
I have on page 1, again, you can see the overhead picture of 216. This is on the corner of Logan and Main Street. The ARV is $53,700. The requested ARV is $32,040. The subject again is 81 stalls and it's Zone C character. See the applicable legislation. We have used the 2015, 2016, and 2017 revenues. Again, we have 53,681, 53, 61,925, and 55,532 for a total of 5746 average and 5746 stabilized. Expenses. We've noted the expenses there. We've applied a 45% expense ratio to that. Again, we come out to a stabilized of $31,375.57. Occupancy costs. I believe I've added 2,000 square feet of air conditioning in terms of the occupancy cost in this situation, so I will have to adjust that. And again, we have $31,376 as the base rent. And there we have our 2015, 2016, and 2017. And that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wareham, do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro?
Just to clarify, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Navarro, you've used the revenues as reported on the INEs, but you haven't used the expenses. You've just applied a market of 45%.
Correct.
So you've applied the market expenses, but not market income. Is there a reason to that?
I stabilized them. Basically, I thought that some of the expenses are actually too high. So if you look at property management, $9,662.68. Hydro may be correct. Again, typically what I see in the marketplace is around 45%, so that's why I stabilized it to 45%. You'll also see that they have marked off net in the INEs. I believe this to be an error. These are actually gross incomes, and I've had a conversation with Embark about this. And they have also stated that the $53,000 on 2015, $53,681 is gross, not net. And that would be for 2016 and 2017. So this is filled out by the owner. And again, I believe that to be a mistake. This is actually their gross income. Now they are taking these expenses off. I've stabilized them at 45%, but again, what I'm saying here is that at no point during that 3-year period did the gross income actually exceed $55,000 or $61,925.18. Again, what that says to me is that, like the previous lot, there's some vacancy issues in this location.
My last question is, so on the previous property, you had the MPark details showing the breakdown between the monthly revenues and the casual revenues, but this one you have the INEs. Do you have the MPark details showing what sort of revenues that they have and if they match up to this, similar to the same breakdown as the previous property?
I didn't have the available information for that one because the issue with the other property is that we don't represent the owner, okay? So in that case, I had access to the MPark data. In this case, I had to go directly to the owner because MPark is actually just the manager in that case. So no, I didn't have access to it.
But on this property, MPark is the taxable party, so are they not your client for this particular property and would have access to that information?
Actually, the taxable party is actually the owner, not MPark. MPark is the manager in this case. They're not leasing the lot.
But the taxable party for the business assessment is Imperial Parking Limited.
That's who you have on there. I believe that to be incorrect, actually. So the 7 other properties that we looked at, those were all leased properties to MPark. Okay, so that is the situation where they buy the income stream. And in those situations, MPark is actually the business holder. In these situations, MPark is acting solely as a manager.
But the name on the application for the business assessment as submitted to the Board of Revision was signed by Imperial Parking Limited and a James.
They are managing the property.
Okay.
Correct. But they're not leasing it.
Okay. Okay. Yes, that answers my question. My next question is sort of been answered with respect to, they're just managers, so that's the type of parking agreement they have with the owner?
Correct. So Gertrude is a management agreement, and so is this one. The other 7 that were withdrawn were all lease agreements.
Those are my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. McIntyre.
Just to follow up on Ms. Wareham's question about who owns this and who pays the business tax bill.
That would be the owner, who is Kun Garden or something like that.
Yet the city is showing it in the name of Imperial Parking.
Imperial Parking is the manager, but they are not leasing this property.
But
I think in that
it's not about
management.
the lease. We're talking about who's the taxable party responsible for the BA.
So
Who's on the roll? Right?
Impark
is on the roll, but I think in this situation, they are managing the property. They're taking all of that out of the hands of the owner and doing everything for them. But technically, if we were talking about who the leasable party was in this situation, it's actually not Impark, it's actually the owner. So I don't know how that works with the city. Impark is simply just paying the books for them.
Can I have a redirect, Madam Chair?
Sure,
Just to try to clarify this confused situation.
absolutely.
My question isn't with respect to what the lease is between it. My question was, your client and the person appealing this property is Impark, because Imperial Parking Limited is the taxable party for the business assessment.
Sure. Okay.
Who gets billed it, and whatever they decide to do to the
I'll agree
owner-
to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. That I was just trying to clear that. Okay. Sorry, Mr. McIntyre.
I have another somewhat relevant question. Who's on the realty side as the owner?
Not Imperial Parking Limited.
Not Imperial.
No. I believe it would be, if you look in my brief, because I submit the first page of my brief always, it shows who the owner is. So if you look on page 13, I always put the cover page.
I have to get out of this one.
So on the cover page of my brief on page 13 is the cover page of the realty that happened, and it shows the owner's name on that. And I believe it probably also shows it on the applicant brief on
So
page 18.
So just by extension, that's where the income and expense mailers are mailed.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was my questions.
Sorry, I'm in between briefs right now.
I toggle between them too.
Okay, Mr. Harden, do you have any questions?
Okay, the mailers show it to be partially owner occupied. As I recall, the restaurant uses it for parking for their facility?
I believe the company number that you see on there is the restaurant.
Yeah, so they use it for
So
their.
partially would be Impark using it for parking, and the restaurant using it for parking during non-business hours or whatever. So effectively, there's 2 streams of income coming into this thing. One from the parking, the monthly and daily parking, and one from people who decide to pay for the restaurant. And again, the restaurant it's got kind of staggered hours, so they're open during lunchtime and then they open up after, I believe, around 4 o'clock. But after 4 o'clock, and I don't know what the exact time is, parking becomes free at some point on street. So that's where I say, and it's also location based. We're trying to say that there's not as much demand at this location as people think there is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and I have no questions. So I believe that concludes the matters on the docket this afternoon. Kara? Oh,
Yes. Thank you.
okay, so I'm going to close the hearing. Thank you very much. And
The person in charge of daylight savings time.
Notice that the other day.
I looked there today, we made a really good time.
Are you okay?
So Marla, I'm gonna end this
Yeah.
meeting and then I will send you a new link to come in for deliberations, okay?
Perfect, thank you.